What's going on, everybody? Well, we're a little late, and I did see the wreck, so I know what's happened. Boy, Austin Hill kind of got screwed on that one. Goes to the back for a unapproved change, and we get, kind of like the big one on lap one, and he's basically toast. I didn't see if there were other, favorites back there that were involved in the wreck or not. First off, thanks for joining us. If you haven't yet, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any thoughts, feel free to share them. Thanks to all of you. We are now a monetized YouTube channel. We don't get ad revenue yet. We're not that big. You got to get to 1,000 subs. But we, Ryan and I, are going to work on a plan for memberships, Patreon, and you can super chat and donate to the channel, which helps us do this. It costs money to be able to come on here and do this with all you. So always feel free to do that. I'll do my best to keep up with everybody's comments here this evening. First off, while we're under caution, let's dive into the breaking news. I don't know if we will be... I don't know if... Sorry, my little guy... I might have interruptions tonight, so it's just me for now. Ryan's going on a trip tomorrow. He might have an opportunity to stop by given the breaking news that is not being well covered at the moment, other than by Candace Lee Spencer. It's why we're late. Ryan made me aware of it, and I had to stop and go do my due diligence, if you will. And it's pretty big news if you're a Kaulig racing fan. And that news, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Just give me a moment. Let's see. I don't want to misquote anything because it's way too. First of all, there's a lot of news that's just dropped before the race. Trackhouse has officially released Zane Smith, so they no longer have a commitment to Zane Smith. I would say that this now basically means Zane Smith is likely FRM bound. Bob Pockross put out today that he expects Trackhouse to still get the charter, which means SVG is likely bound for that third Trackhouse car. But there's more for everybody across the pond who's probably just waking up to watch the race. There's some pretty big SVG news relating to the end of this season, which we'll get to momentarily. Again, if you haven't liked the stream yet, please do so. It helps out. I'm only one guy right now, so there'll be moments of silence during this too. Keeping an eye on everything. I promise I am getting to the news. I just want to do this properly so that nothing gets misconstrued or misquoted. And here we are. Let me blow this up here. This went under the radar, and I wish I knew the Instagram account because the Instagram account really deserves the credit for what has happened. And here's what's happened. Big news out of Kaulig Racing and RCR Racing. They will essentially become one team, two different names, meaning you got two owners in Richard Childers and Matt Kaulig that don't want to sell, but they're going to become one team. And it will be 4 Cup cars and 5 Xfinity cars going forward that will work together. This is more than just the technical alliance they had before. This is straight out of Chris Rice's mouth. I'll read the quote. But RCR and Kaulig essentially become one team with 2 different owners and 2 different names. It's a massive move for both teams and gives more options going forward. And you guys might remember Ryan being on here going nuts in a negative way about the idea of Austin Hill getting that second Kaulig Cup car after he backed out of it last year. Well, guess what? That's very much back on the table now. Like you see a move like this, it has to be back on the table. So whether we get a reaction from Ryan tonight or we have to wait till he returns from his trip, we'll see. But yeah, so massive news. Kaulig and RCR become one team. I see the 21 is still in there, but oof, that car is not going to draft well. Let's dive into the article a little bit here. This is stunning to me. Lynn Crosby, I see Zane Smith and Trackhouse will be finishing their partnership at the end of the year. Yeah, that is now done, out, finished. To me, that signals that Zane Smith is probably FRM bound. And the interesting thing here is that probably makes Chandler Smith available. If 2311 is the team missing out on a charter, that makes Riley Herbst available. We still believe Christian Eckes is bound for the 16 Kaulig RCR, whatever you want to call it. They're working under 2 different names. It's now one team. That 16 car in the Xfinity series, we believe, will be Christian Eckes. So there's a 31 car available. I don't know if anybody caught some of the interviews with Daniel Hemrick today. They were not in the most positive of lights. Usually Daniel Hemrick's a pretty easygoing, positive guy, but he was not very happy and definitely not himself. And I think we are looking at a situation where Daniel Hemrick has more than likely found himself out of the organization. until something happens in regards to that. We'll see. But here's the article. It might be hard to see on screen. Um, but as a whole, Kaulig is transitioning to a fresh approach for next year. The company located on the RCR campus will adopt a symbolic relationship with RCR. Kaulig's three full-time Xfinity teams are developing a one-team approach with the 2 and 21 at RCR. Allmendinger will work more closely with Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, and a second Kaulig Cup driver still to be named. Um, Chris Rice said the new strategy is the only way to survive under the current NASCAR landscape. We've all struggled. RCR struggled. Kaulig has struggled. So it's time to become one. We've been a partner of theirs since we got into the sport. Matt Kaulig has been aligned with them. So it's time to become one team. We're not exchanging money or any of that. I'm going to say my ass to that one. I don't believe that for a second because Richard Childers is not just saying, hey, come be essentially a part of our team and have access to all of our information for no extra cost. I just can't see that being the case at all. When we leave Welcome, North Carolina, that's where the shops are located. It's going to be 4 teams in the Cup Series, 5 teams in the Xfinity Series, and if we can do that, we will start succeeding. So just kind of a shocking turn of events here that sees Kaulig and RCR essentially become one team. I still wouldn't rule SVG out of that 31. But it sounds like Trackhouse may have the inside track on a charter. Bob Pockross believes they're still going to end up with it, so I think that's good news for them. Yeah, just wild news to drop prior to the race tonight, which sort of set us back. Definitely going to have to do a standalone video on this because there's some people that won't see this because it's a live stream. Yeah, so wild news. And then the other piece of news, I believe I have it here. Let's see. It's SVG related. All right. SVG has added a couple of races to his schedule. It turns out he's added a lot more than a couple of races. Van Gisbergen was slated for 6 races this season and has already run 4. Watkins Glen and Vegas were the original other 2. So he's adding 5 races to the Xfinity schedule, sorry, the Cup Series schedule, due to increased sponsorship. So if you're looking for more SVG racing, you're going to get it. He's running Daytona, obviously, tomorrow night, Darlington, Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Talladega, Las Vegas, and Martinsville. And I wouldn't rule him out of starting the Roval in the 13 car. I think that's a legitimate possibility. Apologies if you hear the little one in the background. My spouse is dealing with her. So yeah, just absolutely wild news. People have to let me know what they think about that. And we'll turn our attention back to this restart. They haven't wrecked yet, so that's something. Chandler Smith leading AJ Allmendinger right now, running 1-2. Will they be teammates again next year? Can't rule that out. And it looks like Austin Hill cannot maintain the draft. Yeah, that car's in rough shape. I don't know if Ryan is fist pumping somewhere or not. Ryan will not be able to join us this evening, so there you have it. You get me. But I'm up for answering anybody's questions and or comments. Anything you want to discuss NASCAR wise, let's do it. AJ Allmendinger looks like he's about to take the lead here. AJ Allmendinger led that lap. Dude hates super speedway racing, but he's damn good at it. Assuming a good chunk of our audience is across the pond. How are you all doing this morning? Always nice to wake up to some positive SVG news, some wild Kaulig news. We haven't even touched on the fact Daniel Dye was announced to drive the 10 full time for Kaulig next season. We still believe Eckes will be named the driver of the 16. I know some of our audience here is new to NASCAR. If you're watching this, drafting when it's like this before they get single file is just nuts. It takes one small slip and you're collecting 8, 9, 10, even 20 cars at times. And this track is so aero dependent that if your car gets any sort of significant damage, you're in trouble. Riley Herbst came down on Allmendinger quite a bit there. Looks like AJ is going to lead another lap here, being pushed by Chandler Smith. Those two have worked together before, so there is a history of working together. AJ's teammate Josh Williams behind him. I'm trying to find SVG's car. I don't think he got damage in that wreck earlier. I think he was in front of it. Sorry, I got like 4 screens going on at once here, guys. JB says SVG sings so loose on the radio. Yeah, if he's running the same setup that the rest of the Kaulig guys and the RCR guys are running, it's definitely a high speed approach. They might have to make an adjustment to allow him to have better handling. But it'll allow him to be more competitive in the race if he can manage the loose car. Looks like Chandler Smith will lead this one, but AJ's going to give him a run for his money here. Yeah, Chandler Smith leads that lap. Very big pack. Yeah, it doesn't take much. One slip and your night's over. And like we're only on lap 16 of 100. Like it's very very early to be driving this aggressively. And we had one of the favorites taken out right away, Austin Hill. And with what I just read off the beginning of Kaulig and RCR becoming one team now, that hurts AJ and SVG and Josh and Jesse Love, because that's a guy that they could work with later in the race, whether you like him or not. And now that's one less partner. I was very worried about Josh Williams' ability to be able to push AJ in this race. I think they're going to need help from someone else to challenge there. You see the outside lane much more dominant than the inside lane. The inside lane needs some quicker cars. AJ's got a lot of speed, qualified third. Williams was 10th, so that's not bad. Hard to listen to Sean and SVG's radio at the same time. Yeah, at a track like this, there we go. Jesse Love down in front of Allmendinger. That's the right move. Those guys will connect. AJ will come up on his bumper and give him a push. Track like this, your spotter is in your ear the entire time. There's too much going on around you. You cannot see it all as a driver. So, like, when I say NASCAR is a team sport, you don't have success at a track like Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta without your spotter, and it's just constant communication. So I'm assuming it just went to commercial for all of you. On my end, it's we get picture in picture up here in Canada, so I'm still seeing the race on the left hand side of the screen, and the commercials are on the right hand side of the screen. What typically happens is you'll get one dominant lane at a super speedway, and the pack racing slows down. For those of you that can't see, though, Chandler Smith just moved down, and now that bottom lane has picked back up. And now Chandler Smith just moved back up to the top. AJ's leading the bottom lane again, and honestly, he's almost right back to the lead. He is back to the lead. Allmendinger passes Smith for the lead. We have full ads here. We get no ads in New Zealand. Nice, Brock. That's awesome. We get the half screen ads here in Canada, so I'm thankful to be able to still see what's going on during commercial break. I know we have a lot of SVG fans here. This is the type of racing that's going to take him some time to adapt to. Doesn't mean you can't win. Anybody can win at a super speedway with the right guy pushing them. But if you've watched V8 supercars at all, where he's used to, like, this is just dynamically different than anything you get with V8 supercars. Like, there's nothing close to, drafting at that. Allmendinger to the lead with Parker Kligerman pushing. Kligerman's a guy I'd like to see get a better ride. Cindy, do the spotters also stay on top of which cars are around their driver? Heading into the playoff, driver wants wins. Some want good points. Very much so. And drivers develop a reputation for who's a good pusher, who can be pushed well, who's dangerous in the draft, who you want to stay away from. You'll hear spotters kind of be very critical of a guy like Corey LaJoie. Obviously not in this race, or he's not in this race. But yeah, I wish I could properly, give you a better look at how much preparation goes into a track like this. Now, tracks like this can get boring. This one has not. It's been pack racing the entire time. But sometimes you get single file at places like this, and nobody wants to step out of line. That has not been the case here. The announcers stop. I don't hear the announcers during the commercial break, John. But what we do get, that's weird. It's not letting me click on your thing. Yeah, the announcers, I can't hear them during the break, but I still see all the racing on the left-hand side of my screen. Allgaier side drafting Allmendinger. Those two have raced against each other for years. Well, there you have it. SVG has been told to not lose the draft, but to hang at the back. Rear end of the car is way loose. I don't know if you guys saw it there, but yeah, like when you're in the turns at a super speedway, you're supposed to be able to stay in the throttle, and you're really not supposed to lose anything. in the back end of the car. Because when you do, you lose all forward momentum. And much like we saw happen at Michigan a couple of times, you will get turned around in no time and we'll see a big one. Yeah, SVG's got to hang on with 6 to go. He cannot pit under green. That would be devastating for him. So he's got to hold on to that car. He's got to stay on the lead lap. Keeping in mind, let's remember that he is working with a new crew chief right now. I like Eddie Pardue a lot. Hell, I might like Eddie better than Alex Yance, who's on AJ's car. Eddie has been the crew chief for the 13 car whenever Allmendinger's been in it in the Cup Series this year. AJ's really trying to challenge for that stage win. He needs one pretty bad. It's getting dicey though. Jesse loves creating a third line here, and when you get 3 lanes going, that's where you see the big one. Yeah, 3 wide. Hold your breath, right? Like you can be the best driver you want to be, but sometimes when you get 3 wide, you literally just get sucked around without even being touched. And I do believe the Kaulig and RCR cars are all set up for speed this weekend rather than handling. How many times on an oval this year have you seen AJ run up front consistently? Not very often, and he is tonight. And and even Josh Williams is up there. That tells me they're set up for speed tonight. Which for SVG, that's going to take some adapting to. They can make some changes to that, but there's going to be part of it that's going to have to be a driving change for him. Just look at Jesse. I mean, Jesse Love. He's one of those cars that are running the same thing as AJ and SVG are, and his hands are all over the place. Just looking at the times there, it looks like Allgaier, Allmendinger, and Kligerman are the fastest on the track right now. 2 laps to go. Not so much like at a super speedway, you can afford. See, now we're getting single file. There's a good chance someone is not going to step out of line here. They're going to need help to create a second lane on this last lap if AJ wants to pass Allgaier. Oh, and we're going to see it. Smith down in front of Creed. Nope, not going to happen. Single file still. At a super speedway, it's not so much nailing your pit stop so you don't lose a ton of track position. Like obviously you want to stay up towards the front, but you can gain super speedway positions back a lot easier than your typical 1.5 mile track. So those Toyotas are going to make a move. Uh-oh. P3 for AJ in stage one. That's a good point. And that could have been much worse. Looks like Jeb Burton has a flat tire. That could have been a lot worse. AJ has a great shot to win this by the looks of things. He has a shot tonight, which is why he's got to stay clean. I wasn't a big fan of that move he made under Smith at the end there. Um, you weren't going to get that position that close to the line, and you don't really need to make a move like that. He's got a piece that can win tonight, and he's got to keep that car clean. Especially with the Kaulig pit crews, you got to expect that they're probably going to lose some track position. Um, Not a whole lot you can do about that. Their pit crew is their pit crew. Um, so you want to do whatever you can to stay up front, but you also don't want to throw it all away. So if you've missed it, the news of the day, there's a couple of pieces. Shane Van Gisbergen will run 7 of the final 12 Cup Series races with the addition of sponsorship from Acceptance Insurance, Daytona, Darlington, Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Talladega, Las Vegas, and Martinsville. He was only supposed to run 2 of those races. So SVG's Cup schedule picks up massively for the rest of the season. Wouldn't be shocked to see him run the 13 at the Roval either. And then the other big piece of news, if I can get back to our own Twitter account here, Twitter X, I don't know what anybody calls it anymore. Um, this one came out of left field, and that is Kaulig Racing and RCR will essentially become one team while still operating under 2 different names, 4 Cup cars that will work very closely together as if they were built in the same shop. They are built on the same campus, and 5 Xfinity cars. So this is a massive, massive change for Kaulig Racing, and it really does change things in terms of what happens going forward. Some might say that it makes it more likely that Ty Dillon could be in the 31 car. I will go the opposite of that and say it makes it more likely that Austin Hill, I know Ryan's somewhere screaming no, but it makes it more likely that Austin Hill could be in that 31 car. It probably makes them more attractive for a guy like Chandler Smith or even Riley Herbst at the possibility of coming to their Cup team if Zane Smith is FRM bound. It changes a lot for this team. And I still don't rule out the possibility of SVG in the 31 until we get an official announcement about Trackhouse acquiring that third charter. Anything can happen. Pockras thinks it's going to happen. We'll see. Um, and Chris Rice basically said today that SVG will not be back with the Kaulig Xfinity team, but we all kind of assume that anyway. Just going to step away for about 2 minutes here before we go green. I'm going to keep myself off of cam here for a couple minutes, guys. Snacking a little bit. Haven't had dinner yet. So going to address a couple of these comments. By the way, thank you, Cindy, for telling people to like the stream. It really does help when people like the stream. We're still a very small channel, even though we've now hit monetization for super chats. By the way, if you want to donate to the channel, every penny helps because we pay to be able to do this. You can click the super chat option. It should be there. It should be a dollar sign. We definitely welcome it. We're going to be working on like fan club memberships and all that stuff that Ryan and I haven't had time to sit down and discuss. But we will be, doing bonus content and for next season, some fun fantasy pools and stuff like that. Cindy says, interesting. RCR and Kaulig wouldn't want to be in that boardroom when they have team meetings. Well, yeah, essentially a team meeting for them now becomes 4 cars and 4 teams in the Cup Series and 5 cars and 5 teams in the Xfinity Series, but it also gives you more information. It gives you more chance of finding stuff and working things out. I don't believe for a second, despite Chris Rice saying otherwise, that there was no money involved in this transaction. Things just typically don't work that way. Looks like Cole Custer is having some problems here. I don't know what happened. Oh, contact on pit road. Never a good thing. Brock says, I don't like that RCR partnership. So definitely hope he goes cup racing with Trackhouse. Well, my comeback to that, man, would be Trackhouse gets their engines from RCR. So Trackhouse doesn't field a single car without RCR support. So they do have a relationship with RCR. It just hasn't been as strong as what Kaulig's has, and now Kaulig and RCR are essentially the same team. So it's not to that extent, but make no mistake, Trackhouse has a very important relationship with RCR still until they decide to, go a different way with their engine program. And with Chevys, it's either you do your own, you get ECR engines, which is RCR, or you go get a deal with Hendrick. And, in my experience, teams that run Hendrick engines outside of Hendrick, they don't do very well. Lynn says it'd be weird if SVG was still with Kaulig and Austin Hill was a teammate. Well, be careful how much you read into that stuff because Kaulig Racing has a documentary series that begins airing this upcoming Monday. By the way, AJ lost 4 spots on pit road, but only 1 spot to a car with that took 4 tires. So a lot of 2 tires and no tire stops. But Kaulig Racing has a documentary series coming out, 4 parts. I believe it's all Xfinity series based. Part 1 will air Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern on NASCAR's YouTube channel. It's a huge behind the scenes thing. SVG is a big part of it. And I think we're going to find out that AJ and SVG did not see eye to eye, and AJ was pretty upset with SVG at Coda. If you watch the trailer, you can pick out where it is. Race car drivers are competitive, though, right? People get upset all the time at one another. Fun note: the 2 cars that got into it on pit road are teammates, which is never a good thing. Yeah, now have 1 car that you never want to count out a car like Custer, but that car looks terrible right now. And like, I don't know what he's doing there. That's all on Custer, in my opinion. This is one of those weird races where AJ is all over Chandler Smith's ass, by the way. This is one of those weird races where a bunch of good race cars already have some significant damage, or just outright out of the race, and it's making the front pack a little smaller than it normally would be. Yeah, that's fair, Cindy. But at the same time, I was watching an interview with a Twitch interview with AJ the other day, where he was very, very complimentary of SVG and just how good SVG has been. Um, so I think he has the utmost respect for him as a racer. Daniel Hemrick, on the other hand, I felt like gave SVG some backhanded compliments today that I didn't think were needed. But I think Daniel Hemrick's a guy who's might be out of a job, and funding to boot. So I could see why he'd be just a little bitter about everything. Who knows though? Hemrick could still end up in the 31, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case now. Hopefully nobody hates cats. Mine keeps walking into the shot. I don't think that's going to change. Oh no, it definitely isn't. He spoke about that in the interview. It's race car drivers, have an ego and pride, but he also said it's pushed him to be better and make some changes, and um we'll see what happens. It's catch 22 though, right? Because like in the cup races, AJ has outrun SVG. Um, so we'll see what happens. But at the like, it's hard to compare anyone to SVG and what he has done in the Xfinity series this year. Just the amount of speed he's able to carry with his pedal style that no other driver in NASCAR has is remarkable. That being said, though, that's what's making the transition to ovals a little more difficult because he can't drive that way on an oval. It just doesn't work. And that was almost a wreck right there. AJ right back to the front after restarting seventh. He's now second. Did not lead that lap. Sam Mayer did. AJ and Parker Kligerman have worked together quite a bit this race. Both those guys looking for wins. Parker Kligerman just had a penalty that really hurts his team's, safety net they had point wise heading into the playoffs. Um, they probably need to win more than the 16. AJ's pretty safely in on points. AJ led that lap. SVG says the car is undrivable. Look, it's This is kind of what I'm talking about with where people think that maybe Ryan and I are a little too hard on SVG at times, and or maybe they think we're downright delusional at times. Sorry, one moment. I'd like to hear that level of confidence in AJ. Um, so yeah, I got to tell you, unless they find something broken on the car after the race, which I don't think they're going to, this is what SVG has to adapt to. If you want to be fast on super speedways and be able to pass guys, you got to learn how to drive a ill handling race car. Um, and hey, guess what? If AJ was back in 10th right now, he would be having struggles with the handling of the race car too. The race cars right now for Kaulig and RCR are set up to be out front, and this is what I was talking about. Eventually, you'll get single line racing, and no one's going to want to step out of line. I don't know about anybody else, but my broadcast just froze. I'm going to restart mine. But with super speedways in general, if you want to be quick, you have to learn how to drive a ill handling race car. You basically have two options. You can have handling, but you're going to lack speed, or you can have speed and you're not going to have handling. Rarely do you get both. And yeah, I actually got my first full commercial here of the race. It's been picture in picture the entire time, and it isn't now for whatever reason. That being said, hey, there could be something broken on SVG's car right now. I'm not there. I don't know. My guess is we won't know till after the race, but this is what you get. Not to mention, it's nighttime now. So cars handle differently in day than night. Yeah, they absolutely are on a super speedway. It's hard to get a balance where they're both working right for you. Um, so I have no doubt that SVG's car is probably set up like AJ's, like Josh Williams, like Jesse Love, like Austin Hills, and he's probably having a really hard time adapting to it. That being said, it's also possible that, they might want some changes with the car, and you have SVG who has a new crew chief. Um, you can still do well at a place like this um, without, you know, going balls to the wall. The odds are there's going to be another big wreck that collects several good race cars. Your goal is to survive past that point and get the positions that those guys give up. Yeah, I have no doubt the new crew chief is probably playing a role too. Correct me if I'm wrong, SVG also has not driven a super speedway at night yet. So I think this is a first for him. Did the Xfinity race get rained out earlier this year and they ended up doing it at night? Man, Hill and Custer, just look at all that damage. Their days are over. At this point, they were running for points because guys are going to wreck. And they almost just wrecked right there. Oh, very late call by Chandler Smith. Oh my God, there's some just really bad decision making going on. Wow.
Look at Dinger go.
Yeah. Been up front all race.
How far for it?
That was a good move by the 20. Yeah, there was some really bad decision making there, Lynn, for sure. Almost wrecked multiple times. Nothing wrong with side drafting. You can gain a lot of momentum that way, but you can also wreck yourself early. Little surprised it's getting this race. He was still 7 to go. Ooh, I don't know if there was contact there between the 48 and 7 or not. Ryan Truex is actually an ex-Kaulig guy himself. Putting money on a wreck in the next 7 laps. I don't know. It's so difficult to say, right? The way they're running right now, I wouldn't bet against it, but I would put a lot of money on. You're probably going to see multiple wrecks between here and the end of the race, and the classic big one is still likely to come with how guys are driving. Oh, definitely contact there between the 27 and the 9 and the 98. Oof. If I'm that if I'm anyone right now, I'm staying the hell away from the 27. He's made a few real bad decisions. Apologize ahead of time too if there is a wreck and our feeds aren't exactly lined up. Cars just had an accordion effect there. It almost happened. Oh, AJ's really pushing the 20 now. Ooh. Didn't like that. Yeah, I think my feed, I don't know why, like, I'm not watching on TV. I'm watching on the app that they have up here. And my feed seems to be ahead of Ryan's feed too when we're doing this. Man, I don't like what the 27 is doing. For those of you that don't know, AJ and Jeb Burton used to be teammates. They spent a year together. AJ actually pushed him to a win. Speaking of pushing, the 16 is really pushing the 20. Oh, oh no. I'm assuming you guys have seen it by now. I didn't want to spoil it for you, but you called it, Cindy. Uh, looks like the 5 tried to come down in front of the 2. 5 goes up into the wall, smokes the wall. The 1 spins out on his own. Hell of a save because he could have come back up on the track. Looks like AJ will finish 4th that stage. More valuable stage points for him. Wild. Like, we're only an hour and 2 minutes into the stream, and guess what? We're 2 stages done. There could have been way more wrecks to really slow this down. How's everybody enjoying the race so far? Are you liking what you're seeing? Do you like this style of racing? Obviously, I'm sure you were hoping SVG would be up in the mix more. He'll get a chance to work on his car here more. Wouldn't be surprised if you see tire pressure and track bar adjustment changes for him. But he's going to gain positions just by survival if he can stay clean. All guy are collecting points. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Good on him, too. He was a lot quicker than everybody on that last lap to the line. Where is SVG right now? It's running 19th. Yeah. Yeah, he's got wind, so even if he goes up there and mixes it up, it's not that big of a deal. Um, if he was to get collected in a wreck, he's guaranteed his playoff spot, so that helps. If you haven't yet, please take a moment to like the stream. Helps us out greatly. Again, congratulations to Daniel Dye going full-time Xfinity Series racing. Just AJ reported wicked loose, really bad. That was a handful. So track conditions are changing. This is what I'm talking about. SVG is not just dealing with that issue himself. AJ was dealing with it and having to do the best. I figured AJ was dealing with handling issues because he gave the 20 a big push where you would normally follow him down under, and AJ just chose to keep it straight and went and pushed the 98 after that. Josh Williams says his car's good. A lot of positions lost for AJ on pit road here. Bunch of cars taking no tires or two tires. Massive change for AJ on the adjustment there. Yeah, it sounds like all the Kaulig cars are battling a loose issue. I'd be curious if Jesse Love's battling the same thing. More than likely is. You got to be careful though, right? Because depending on the adjustment you make, you can get yourself a better handling car. But if it's going to take away speed, you're going to lose your ability to contend for the win. It's much easier to keep an eye on the chat when Ryan's here too. Also, it's always more entertaining when there's two voices or three voices. I decided to come on tonight. Again, the channel just hit monetization, so people have the option to donate. I believe it's as little as $1 or as much as you want to help the channel out. Wanted to get that active, and but I also love super speedway racing. Who's your boy? A lot of positions just changed hands on pit road, so The lineup is rather jumbled. For example, AJ finished fourth that stage. He's going to restart 16th, not where you want to be. SVG is going to restart 30th. Josh Williams 18th. So they got some driving to do here in the last stage. They're going to have to gain all those positions back. Super Speedway is the one type of track where you can get away on older tires, but the older your tires are, the less ability you have to change lanes when you need to. So that definitely can be a factor that's at play. The running order changed quite a bit. Herbst is still up there, but like even Kligerman's back to eighth, Jesse Love ninth, Justin Allgaier 14th. So clearly Allgaier, Allmendinger, and company all chose to go with four tires. SVG's got a whole ass here. He went back down pit road. I don't know where he is now. He's going to have to haul ass to catch the back of this pack. If you don't catch the back of the pack before we go green, you're in trouble. You will not maintain speed and you will get lapped relatively quickly. Trying to see if SVG caught the back of the pack or not. I can't tell. It's not looking great. Yes, he did. But he's close to losing it. He barely caught it. He's got to get back in there. AJ almost wrecked it there. AJ's leading a third line. Herbst pulls down in front. AJ restarted 16th. We're only on lap 2 of the restart, and he's in 4th. That gives you an idea how many positions you can gain on a super speedway. AJ Kligerman and Smith back together. That was the trio in stage 1 that stayed together. SVG is moving up. I'm taking I think he's back there with Josh Williams. Yes, he is. He's pushing Williams right now. Cole Custer somehow is running in the top 10 with that damage after being a lap down. That is wild. I don't believe that. That's just, I don't know how you can maintain that level of speed with that level of damage. Oh, it is definitely going to happen. It's pretty crazy right now considering there's still 32 to go. I'd say another 15 lap. Oh! Oh! That was close. SVG just missed that one. You might see it on the replay here. Oh, wow. Yeah. That was almost the end of SVG's night. Good save by Brandon Jones. He's lucky he didn't smoke the inside wall. Wow. How anyone listening to SVG's radio, how crazy was the spotter there? Hell of a job to avoid that. That's twice now in this race the big one could have happened and has been a single car spin out. Certainly seemed like it, man. My God. I hope we get an onboard view of his car because, wow. Like, this is almost as close as it gets. Oh, that is nuts. Well, thankfully he's still with it. That could have been ugly. That would have been a pretty hard hit, too. Super Speedway at its finest, people. There's an element of luck involved everywhere there. What I mean by that is, so like here's the cars heading at you, right? And Brendan Jones comes across like this. If Brendan Jones comes across like that and the car gets sideways, there's no avoiding it. And he's gonna live to continue on. You know? That's remarkable there for Jones. He could have creamed the inside wall. That is one fugly looking tire. Avoiding wrecks is definitely a skill. Knock on wood, I'm probably jinxing him here, but Allmendinger has a history of running very good at super speedways because he's able to avoid the wrecks. But sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. Anyone see that tire? Oh, they're talking about SVG. Anyone see the Brandon Jones replay there? The ability to get on the brake, off the brake, back on the brake, off the brake, deserves a ton of credit. He was basically marked to hit that inside wall to be able to save the car, bring it home in one piece, not destroy the splitter in the grass. I'm not a Brandon Jones guy. Obviously, he's a well-funded driver. Probably gets opportunities over other guys that deserve them more. That's a heck of a driving job. That could have gotten ugly. Who's excited to watch SVG go cup racing tomorrow night? It's going to drive the 16. As we pointed out earlier, he's with due to a new sponsor. He's going to end up driving quite a few races in the 16 later this year. It'll be interesting to see what he's able to do at some of those tracks. I'm glad he's getting a shot at Martinsville. That's going to be tough. He's probably going to run towards the back of the pack at Martinsville in the Cup Series, but that's a place that is very important. You run there multiple times a year. I think him going there, getting laps in a Cup car is super, super vital. I really hope that Trackhouse has the funding to put SVG in the 13 Kaulig Cup car at the Roval. I want to see AJ and SVG battle it out, not just in the Xfinity series at the Roval, which they will. Those guys are going to be the two to beat. The Roval's in the playoffs, so Cup guys can't come down and race in the Xfinity series that weekend. But I want to see them battle it out at Cup too. Looks like we're about to go green again. SVG's got Custer behind him. AJ's going to start on the front row. "27 laps to go. Probably not time to go crazy just yet." And I know that sounds nuts because it seems like they're going crazy, but it can go crazier. Like you get down into that 15 to 17 lap to go window, even the last dozen laps or so, you're going to see moves all over the pack, and that's typically what creates your big one. Allmendinger back to the lead, pushed by Kligerman. Fantastic restart by those two. How much do manufacturers work together? At a place like this, it's all manufacturer based, 100%, to a point where you actually have manufacturer meetings where teams that don't normally work together are getting together to discuss different options. The later you get in the race, as cars get knocked out of the race, you'll have manufacturers put said car from one team together with another team in an effort to try to win the race. Super speedway racing is all manufacturer based. Didn't used to be that way, but now it's have. Oh boy! Oh yeah! We have the big one, and I don't know if SVG avoided it. I seen him going through at the end, but he might have had some contact. No, he looks pretty clean.
He doesn't.
Still 20 plus laps to go. This is not the last accident we've seen. I would be pitting if I was SVG. Guarantee you he ran over debris there to get through that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see SVG. Yeah, he did avoid it. Wow. Oh my God. What a driving job by SVG there to get through it. I don't know if they have an in-car cam for him today or not. I know it's not public on NASCAR.com, but man, you got to go on board with him through that. That was wild. That being said, Jesse Love is now toast, and that gives SVG. Oh boy, Love touched him a little bit at the end, but that's no big deal, no damage. Um, that gives AJ and company one less guy to work with, unfortunately. Bunch of good race cars torn up. Josh Williams made it through that just barely by the looks of it. Both Williams and SVG barely made it through. Williams might get some contact here. He's the blue and white car. Looks like a guy slides right across the front bumper of his car.
So is that all because of that black, blue and white car?
Yeah. And sorry, my spouse was asking me what was going on there. This style of racing, you get one guy that gets sideways, you're too close together. It's like getting into a wreck on the freeway, right?
Yeah.
Like too many cars together, too hard to avoid. That's pretty devastating for Sammy Smith, who's trying to make the playoffs on points. I don't know how bad his damage is. I didn't see what happens to him at the end. It's significant. Significant damage for Sammy Smith. That is going to hurt him big time. Williams and SVG, I don't know how they made it through, but they did. SVG dodges like it'd be cool to count. This is why I wish that his in-car cam there had to be 7 or 8 cars. All well quietly, AJ Allmendinger's in the lead of the race. I know a lot of you guys and gals out there are new to NASCAR racing. Welcome to Super Speedway racing. Yeah, this is pretty heartbreaking for this 8 team who cannot afford to lose a bunch of points. Wow. Came in above the cut line as it stands right now. He's 18 below the cut line. Just crazy what this style of racing will do to any sort of, points outlook. Somewhere Matt Kaulig is fist pumping. AJ's in the lead. And by all means, SVG and Josh Williams should have got collected there, and neither one of them did. And SVG's pulled that feat twice now. I get so nervous with super speedway racing. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Allmendinger in his it wasn't his first full-time year, but he made the move to Richard Petty Motorsports. He wasn't guaranteed races. They were lacking funding, and he almost won the Daytona 500. Finished third, was leading at one point. Yeah. I like the playoff system a lot better than it used to be, Brendan, but it's still not ideal, right? Like for example, winning you're in. AJ Allmendinger has actually had a better season overall than SVG. He's like 120 plus points better than SVG, but SVG has 3 wins. But even only if SVG had 1 win, he would be automatically ahead of AJ. What's frustrating with that is I'm not saying SVG hasn't earned it, he has. But say you get, let me go look at what are we looking at here? Say you get a guy like, in fact, this has happened. Jeremy Clements runs 20th every week, not a playoff car. 2 seasons ago, Jeremy Clements takes advantage of this very race. It's the last race of the regular season 2 years ago, and there's multiple big ones. There's hardly anybody on the track at all to finish the race. AJ was driving a damaged car and should have been out of the race earlier, found a way to finish like second or third in the race. But Jeremy Clements, who would normally never have a shot at winning, wins because of this style track and the carnage that it causes, and because it gets lucky one time normally sits like 20 something in points is in the playoffs over a guy who isn't. I like the elimination style of the NASCAR playoffs. I like the NASCAR point system now better than when there was no playoffs, but there are still things they can do to improve. Yeah, my dad would agree with you on that one. Just the fact is that that doesn't work anymore. TV ratings are too important for what they do, and nobody wants to see a championship decided with 3 races to go in the season anymore. You'll never see those days again. Brock says, I love super speedway racing. I've been following NASCAR since Dale Jr. Sorry, Dale Sr. died. Mate of mine told me about NASCAR. Been following it ever since. I watched that race happen. That was difficult and innocent enough looking wreck. And it claimed his life, and all within roughly short order. You had Dale Sr., Kenny Irwin, and Adam Petty all die in wrecks that didn't look like they should take a life, but they ended up taking three. Yeah, the wreck itself didn't look all that violent. Um, and I remember Michael Waltrip being very worried in his post race interview. I remember Dale Jr., the TV shop, picking him running across part of the track. And that's kind of where I was like, oh, something serious is happening. But you never think like that it could be the end. Never crossed my mind that Dale Sr. might have died in that wreck, but um, I definitely knew something was wrong just by the way Dale Jr. was got out of his car and was running over. But that could have been anything. Could have been a serious injury. And I mean, look at the Ryan Priest wreck last year. If you haven't seen it, YouTube it. That wreck is 100 times worse than Dale Senior's, Adam Petty's, Kenny Irwin's, um, and Ryan Priest was racing the next weekend. Yeah, I remember Schrader getting out too. Sterling Marlin. I don't think people understand how close him and Dale Senior were. Took a lot of shit for that. That wasn't deserved. Um, Safety has come a long way. As Brock said, safety wasn't what it was today. Han's device wasn't even like a mandatory thing back then. So yeah, no, that's spot on. Um, Much like a basketball game, as we get towards the end of this race, it takes longer to finish. We're getting ready for the restart now, but Wreck City. I don't like AJ's positioning on this restart at all. Um, you got a Toyota, a Ford, and two Toyotas behind him. Believe me when I say they will absolutely leave him out to dry if they need to. Not that he can't control it, but if I'm AJ, I'm moving down in front of Parker Kligerman the second I can. Not to toot my own horn, but called that one. You can't be the lone manufacturer against three or four other cars. There will definitely be another wreck now, whether it happens coming to the finish line or before then. That last big one happened so early, and there's still so many cars left. Oh, Parker Kligerman just tried to cross up AJ. And now AJ knows that there's not a lot of trust there. This is where he really needs a Josh Williams or an SVG up there. I remember the Austin Dillon wreck. I won't lie. I thought he was dead there, and thankfully he was not. Lots of racing here. AJ's got to stay patient, even if he falls back a bit. A 20 is way too far out there on his own. He is going to get blown by. I see SVG moving up on the inside lane. The Ryan Newman was a bad one, too. I don't know if any of you guys seen that one. He was lucky to live through that. I think AJ's probably been the best car here tonight. I don't think he necessarily has the fastest, but he's executed the best. Definitely wants that win, but might have to settle for a top 5. Well, it looks like he's 8 or 9 cars back on in the inside lane right now, referring to SVG. AJ definitely needs him and Williams to get up there so he has some more trustworthy pushing help. Kligerman crossing them up that early is definitely a big time red flag. Yeah, I'm not sure what went down there. I know SVG was off the apron there, but or down onto the apron, pardon me. SVG will now need a caution to have any shot at a decent finish. He's back in 22nd and no longer in the pack. I don't think he has to worry though. The caution is more than well. The caution may not happen till the white flag lap, and that would be the end of the race. But we'll see. SVG was pushed down there. Yeah, I would blame SVG for that. They're dealing with ill handling race cars. That's what you have to have if you want speed at a place like this. Kudos that it wasn't worse. AJ just putting on a blocking clinic. You got to be careful, though. I mean, you have to block if you want to win at a place like Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, but sometimes you run out of room and you end up in the wall. SVG and company are catching the back of the pack because the pack had to slow up there, so that helps him. Everybody lifted, so there wasn't an accident there. We watched what happened with Riley Herbst at Michigan, though, didn't we? It was last week's stream, so. And then you got Chandler Smith right behind him. Josh Williams is making his way up there. That's good for AJ. He needs a teammate up there. He's got some protection if he falls back a bit. These bad block videos. There's a lot of bad blocks in NASCAR, man. But that's the name of the game is super speedway racing. If you're not willing to block, you're not winning. Oh, for sure. Yes, that was almost a bad block by AJ there. He did it too late. That's going to allow Truex to probably take the lead here. SVG is going to pass a car here to get in lane. Might have been better off staying behind him. Yeah, it slowed his momentum there. That's just a little bit of an inexperienced mistake there. He's still within reach, but if he would have pushed the guy in front of him, they would all still be connected. The question is who's going to push for a third lane here. Looked like the 18 was trying to push for a third lane there for a second. Oh, and we're coming up to lap traffic. Eesh. Get out of the way. AJ again tried to make a late block and couldn't. Oh. And that. Uh, I didn't want to say it because I know I'm a little ahead of you guys, but that is going to do it for SVG's day. You can be, I said it earlier, you can be an expert at avoiding wrecks all you want. You can avoid the last one like he did, which was miraculous. Sometimes there's just nowhere to go. My guess is they're going to try to beat out the front of that car and allow him to continue on, and he still might get a good finishing position here. And we still might not be done with Rex because we're probably going to go to overtime here, green, white, checkered. Um, yeah, just nowhere to go there. And just remember what I said. SVG earlier tried to pass the 45 and he didn't. He got on the out or the inside of him, ended up having to fall back behind the 45. Both of them lost momentum, and there's a good chance that both of those cars miss this wreck if that doesn't happen earlier. Not blaming SVG, it's an inexperienced drafting move. It happens, but nowhere for SVG to go here. The damage could be worse. He's not going to win the race with that car, but if I wouldn't be shocked if that car's on pit road right now and they're trying to beat it out and keep him on the lead lap because another wreck that happens before a white flag, you're going to gain more positions. He's still in the race. I don't think he's out of the race unless he cracked a hole in the radiator. But he isn't winning the race. He has almost no shot at that. I don't know if you were ahead of me or if I was just waiting to say anything. I waited about 30 seconds before saying anything about that wreck. I don't know if anyone can see that. That's Ryan starting to shit bricks. So I don't know if AJ's first or second after that. They have him listed as second. Looks like Ryan Truex is going to start in the lead. Ovals are the worst. Super speedway racing, man. It's carnage. That's what you get. Hey, I got my second actual commercial of the evening. No picture in picture. As of right now, SVG still listed on the lead lap, which has him in 24th spot. He gets another wreck and he's able to avoid it. Still might be able to take home a top 15 here. Well, it sounds like you're going to get your wish, and he is Cup Series bound. There's just, a debate on where at this point, given that Kaulig and RCR have unofficially emerged into one team as of today. My guess is it won't be a Kaulig car now. Again, that was the big breaking news heading into today. In case anyone, oh, they've red flagged the race. Interesting. That's how most of my race has been AWS. And watch on the TSN app up here in Canada. I say A all the time, man. I follow a lot of things up with A. I try to avoid saying it while doing broadcasting, whether it's a live stream or a video. Um, you know, I'm well. Look, this isn't our only YouTube channel. We have other YouTube channels that are sports related, where a little bit more of that side of me comes out. Um, but for this, I'm well aware. A good chunk of our audience is SVG fans that have come in. We do have Kaulig fans from our Facebook groups in here. So I try to, I try to not let the A's come out. But yes, Canadian. Wouldn't be wearing a Bret Hart hat otherwise. I'd probably hate the guy otherwise. Can AJ hang on? I think AJ is listed as second. He is, but it means he'll start on the front row. I don't know. If you look at the stats over time, um, you probably don't want to be leading on the last lap. It's usually a pass that happens. People that lead usually get wrecked on the last lap. Um, he's been the dominant car tonight, in my opinion. Um, oh, he doesn't have the most speed, I don't think. I think there's a couple of cars faster than him. I think the Toyotas are faster than him. Maybe Justin Allgaier, but AJ's been able to keep his car out front the most. That's just driving ability. But as much as I'd love to say he's going to take it, I honestly don't know. I hope I'm here fist pumping with all you guys and gals out there, but I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. I would love to see him win at Daytona. Wouldn't be his first super speedway win. He's historically very good at Daytona. He has in terms of the Cup Series drivers, like the second highest average finishing position at Daytona in like the last, I think it's 10 years, 12 years, something like that. Um, and yet has not won at Daytona. He's won at Talladega. So I don't know. It'd be cool for him to win here, but I certainly wouldn't bet on it at this point in time. AJ's going to have Kligerman, Allgaier to help push in. Truex is going to have Chandler Smith, Sheldon Creed, all the Joe Gibbs guys. Weatherman's back there. Same with Joey Anderson. Williams lost some positions in that wreck, so he's probably going to be a non-factor here. The dark horse is probably Riley Herbst. He's the lone Ford up there, and it's probably going to decide who wins this race, frankly. Okay, let's have some fun here. 26 people watching. Um, who's your pick? Who's winning the race? You got a chance to win a bunch of money, bunch of fake money, bunch of fake Kaulig Nation money. You can only pick one car. Who do you think's winning? I'm going with, um, I'm looking at the running order there. I'm probably picking Chandler Smith just because of the speed the Toyotas generate. There's three of them. There's three Chevys too, but for Allmendinger and Allgaier, they got Kligerman in between, and Kligerman doesn't generate the horsepower that AJ or Allgaier does. He drives for a lower end team, which is why what he's been able to do with that team is pretty impressive. I definitely want AJ to win, but if I was a betting man, I don't know. He's gotta go out there and take it. Yeah, the Toyotas definitely have an aero advantage, especially in the Xfinity series. Like just look at the nose on those things compared to the Fords and the Chevys. But on top of that, they have a horsepower advantage. No one generates the horsepower Joe Gibbs does. That being said, the Gibbs engines, the TRD engines, have been unreliable. They might generate power, but they haven't lasted. But there's been no sign of engine issues here, so we'll see what happens. Wouldn't be shocked if Herbst wrecked someone. Like we saw that wreck last week at Michigan. I think someone asked earlier, why is it under red? Definitely debris. Lots of cars low on gas. They don't want that to decide the race. So lots of oil leaked on the track by the looks of it here. Yeah, Ryan Truex and Martin Truex are brothers. Sadly, SVG did fall a lap down. So, yeah, he will be out of contention. And at this point, the best he can finish is 24th. So that's unfortunate. I think they were trying really hard to keep him on the lead lap, but he did lose a lap. Man, I hope they get as much of that speedy dry swept away as they can. Otherwise, it's going to be a visibility issue for drivers on restarts. Uh, I'm guessing this is going to be one of the last commercial breaks here. How's everyone enjoyed the race tonight? Obviously, I think we wanted a better result for SVG, but Kaulig's in contention. SVG had some entertainment moments avoiding wrecks. How do we feel? Is that going to affect the lane choose? Um, in my opinion, the lane choice is not as important at a super speedway as it is anywhere else because it's all about the push you get from behind. And as Parker Kligerman just said, if you were listening to him, I think the goal here is going to be to break up the Toyotas. So if I look at the top, if I bring up the top four here, we got Truex, AJ, Herbst, Kligerman, Smith. I think Kligerman, regardless of what happens with the first three guys, is going to make sure that Chandler Smith cannot restart behind Ryan Truex. I think that's where it begins. Here we go. Cars are rolling again. I wouldn't be shocked to see AJ get wrecked here. Same with Ryan Truex. You're in very vulnerable position because you're just building your speed up. You don't really ever reach your max speed here on a restart in 2 laps. I seen Brendan said Parker has to line up behind AJ. Well, the truth is Parker might not get a choice, right? Herbst could choose to go behind AJ. Then we'll see what happens. And that's why I think if Herbst chooses to go behind AJ, usually it's not a mile and a half track. It's not a track where the outside lane is definitively better than the inside lane, or vice versa. It's all about the push that you're getting. So the odds are 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to line up 1, 2, 3, 4. You won't see like the fourth guy gamble at being the third car on the outside due to momentum. But yeah, John O'Brien, AJ to win, have faith. Has nothing to do with faith in a situation like this, my friend. Has to do with whether someone's going to turn you or not. I've been here with AJ before, sadly, so. Will we see 3 wide early? Momentum, right? It strictly depends on momentum. Um, if someone gets a bad restart, yes, someone could jump to the outside. Here's the thing with that though: if you jump to the outside early and you get no help, you're done. Your race is over. You're getting past. You're going to go back like a brick in water. I'm betting on a yellow. I think it'll happen, but I don't know if it'll happen before the white flag comes out. The restarts are slow. They take a bit to get going. Um, so I wouldn't be shocked to see the race end under yellow. Now, you guys were asking about manufacturers earlier. This is one of those times where manufacturers are getting involved. It's a 2-lap shootout to the end. I'm sure someone from Chevy is telling Allgaier, you make sure you give Kligerman and Allmendinger all the support that they can get. But at the end of the day, drivers are going to do what drivers do. I'm curious if the restart will shake out Toyota, Ford, Toyota, and Chevy, Chevy, Chevy. Again, I'm sure the Chevys are lobbying to be Chevy, 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 but at the end of the day, you can be a manufacturer all you want. A driver and a team still going to decide what they do. It might piss off the manufacturer, but yeah. Oh, interesting move. Chandler Smith chooses to go behind Kligerman and AJ instead of going in the lane where his teammate is. I guarantee you there are some hurt feelings over that. Keeping in mind, Chandler Smith sounds like he is out of the Gibbs ride at the end of this season. And it sounds like Zane Smith might be out of an FRM ride. So wouldn't shock me if Chandler ended up in the Kaulig 31 car in the Cup Series if he had the funding, or even a junior motorsports car. But what a very weird decision by Chandler that I guarantee you there are some pissed off people about that. I will say this: if AJ can't win, I'd be thrilled if Parker Kligerman won. I'm a big Parker Kligerman fan. Before they announced Dye to the full-time Kaulig Xfinity ride earlier today, and then obviously Christian Eckes is rumored to get the other one, I would have been all for Kligerman going to Kaulig. Just a really good dude, talented race car driver, solid road racer. Does a lot with an underfunded car. We're getting ready, though. Best of luck here. I'll be honest, the only guy I really don't want to see to win here is Ryan Truex. Part-time JGR guys just bother me. Ryan Truex in the 20. Allmendinger with the 16. They make up. And front row, it is overtime. Presented by Credit One Bank. 2 laps from Daytona.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? What the shit was that?
And that's about the last thing I wanted to happen, but I believe I called it. If you rewind the stream about 10 minutes ago. Oh, that's unfortunate. Great chance to win on an oval. Just unfortunate. You know, it happens. I hate that Ryan Truex wins this race. I don't think he's a very talented race car driver at all, but he gets a little bit of funding and puts it to use with JGR, which is why he doesn't have a full time ride. That's what you get, right? Like, wish they'd waited a little bit to make that move. But yeah, there you have it. Really unfortunate end of the race. No doubt AJ is very pissed off. AJ is going to finish 24th. SVG is going to finish 25th. Josh Williams 11th. Not the points finish you want. He got stage points, but still massive difference between finishing second or third and 24th. You're talking 20 plus points there. So even you take the stage points that AJ earned, which I think was like maybe 16, 17, and it doesn't make up for the points that he just lost at the end there. It's tough. Obviously, that's the last thing I wanted to see happen. Big thanks for everyone that came out tonight. Obviously, the big news: SVG is going to run more Cup races between now and the end of the season. Kaulig and RCR are now going to be one unofficial NASCAR team moving forward in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. Daniel Dye is going Xfinity racing with Kaulig next season. Trackhouse has parted ways with Zane Smith. A lot going on, a lot happening. We'll probably be doing a video at some point on the Kaulig RCR stuff, which was obviously some big news that broke today. But yeah, thanks for everybody coming out. Like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on to keep up to date with all of our content. We do have a super chat option now for those that want to donate to the channel and help us out. It's appreciated. We won't be live streaming the cup race tomorrow, but yeah, cup racing tomorrow. SVG's in it. Best of luck to him. And yeah, great race. Disappointing finish. That's often how super speedways end. Hate it for AJ. I know how AJ is, so he's probably fuming right now. But hey, some massive dodges by SVG that were entertaining earlier. Some wild wrecks, wild racing. Hate that Ryan Truex of all guys won. Probably one of the least deserving guys of it to win, but it is what it is. That's going to do it for us, though. Keep a smile on that face, and we will see you all on an upcoming stream or video. I'll try to put out videos frequently when Ryan's gone. And yeah, take it easy. Have a great end of your weekend, too. Such great people. So shout out to all those guys out there watching. We see you Tuesday at 7 a.m.